Talk about this hire by the Cavaliers. You and I heard about it first thing this morning, and I think our reaction was the same. Number one, who knew they were talking to him? Because his name never surfaced that I know of. And number two, I think as the day has gone on, I think we like the pick a little bit better.
Yeah, you know, the thing is, like you said, there was no indication whatsoever that they were looking at a guy even like John Beilein, who's, a long-time NCAA coach. You'd always heard they want a young guy that can develop talent, and you assumed that meant a young, up-and-coming assistant coach. Well, Beilein's been a really good coach and developed a lot of talent wherever he's been, and he's always been a head coach,
well, here's
which is an impressive thing.
Yeah, here's where he has been. He's never been anything but a head coach. Started at New Fame High School in the state of New York, SUNY Erie, where he wound up next, in Nazareth College, Lemoyne, Canisius, Richmond. Then he went on to West Virginia, left there. Bobby Huggins took over there, and then he went up to Michigan. I remember this kind of a controversial hire when he was hired at Michigan because of style of play, but the reality is his style of play works pretty good, especially for kids who may not have NBA talent, but turn into NBA players. Not great players, but a couple of pretty good ones.
No, it's a very up-and-coming style. It's kind of what the Golden State Warriors do. A lot of ball movement, a lot of cutting, a lot of shooting, a lot of distribution of scoring. Listen, the guy's won 825 games in college, and he's won 65% of the games he's coached in, and he's only been a head coach. Now the question is, can he relate to the conglomerates that are NBA players?
He's related to young players,
Absolutely.
as you say. That's not the problem. The problem is, he'll have as much money as most of them, but there's a money factor that isn't at Michigan or West Virginia that is here.
Absolutely. The one thing is, the fact that he is a little older may actually help him. Because if he can relate to a guy, there's a little bit that comes with, even with the superstars, a guy that's a little older, that's been around, as long as he doesn't try to BS you, you're respectful of that.
No, and he's not going to be like Jerry Tarkanian, who in the middle of a game had to ask one of his assistants, how do you call it, 20?
Yeah, no. And by all indications, I know several people that have covered him both at West Virginia and at Michigan. They can't say enough nice things about him.
Right.
I mean,
you hear crazy
quality
things.
Guy.
You hear crazy things like, we know that Dan Gilbert is a Michigan State guy. Mm-hmm. Somebody actually said and believed that he hired Beilein so that Michigan State would have a better chance at in-state recruiting in the state of Michigan. What are these people thinking?
Well, I mean, the tie is Mike Gansey. Mike Gansey played for John Beilein at West Virginia.
Right.
So he's a guy who knows him well, knows how people relate to him, how Coach Beilein relates to people. That's the biggest thing. I mean, coaching is a people business.
Yeah.
The question again becomes, how is he going to relate to young guys that have millions and millions of dollars?
Well, I'm going to say one thing. I don't know this for a fact, but it seems to me, just in listening to people who know him, that one of the reasons he wanted out of there is he didn't want to compete in that level, the money that's under the table and all that, which has always been there, but it's worse, I think, at this point. And I think that says something about him, if that, in fact, is one of the reasons he wanted out at that age of 66.
It very well could be. The Division I college basketball it's got a black eye because of that recruiting scandal. It's only going to get worse as more and more comes out. By all indications, it's a guy that's strictly by the book and very much so. The one thing that I did see is the AD at Michigan realized that Beilein was likely going to go to the NBA. He was one of the finalists.
He wanted to go to Detroit.
Well, he was one of the finalists for the Detroit job. He eventually took himself out of that Pistons job, but it went far enough along, and the athletic director at the University of Michigan kind of said, I think he's going to take an NBA job, the next one that's appealing to him.